Well, thank you, Josh. We appreciate that. In Manlius, neighbors are going to be voting next month on a change that could potentially reconstruct the way the town is governed. The town board announcing that there will be a special election on a Saturday in September to consider creating a ward system for the town of Manlius. Morgan Scott was at the meeting where they approved this date. She breaks down what it could mean for people who live there.
Advocates of the new ward system in the town of Manlius say the current board members only represent these sections of the entire town. But their goal in establishing 6 new wards is to make sure that even the Manlius neighbors far up north also have a voice. More than 850 neighbors in the town of Manlius signed the July 14th petition that would require a special election to consider a new ward system. Currently, Manlius neighbors are able to vote for all 7 members of the town board, including town supervisor. But under the new ward system, voters will instead select one person to the board who will represent their specific ward.
For me, the intent for the ward system is not a power grab. This intent for a ward system is to give representation into more of a local part of the town by splitting it up into 6 parts. I've lived in my home for 20 years, and once has anybody ever stopped at my house while campaigning. And I think that that type of behavior will stop when there's a ward system. You're going to talk to those roughly 5,200 people in each of those sections, get to know them for who you are and not the letter that's behind your name.
Other neighbors say they like things the way they are, but regardless of what voters decide, Town Supervisor John Deere says it's important for neighbors to be aware of what this would mean moving forward.
A lot of people, I feel like, will consider this to be more representative because you'll have somebody who only represents a sixth of the town. But I mean, just logistically speaking, it does present some challenges because when we get things that are in the town-wide best interest, how does a ward councilor determine whether or not something serves the ward?
If passed, the lines for each ward would be drawn by the Onondaga County Board of Election Commissioners based on population, and the new system would go into effect by 2025. As of now, spreading the word about the September special election is a main priority.
This special election, it will be a challenge. And if we break even 20% voter turnout, that will be kind of record breaking. I don't know many special elections that have that kind of turnout. And it really calls into question if this is the right way to make this decision. Do I think this is a good way to make this decision? Absolutely not. Is that the way the law works? Absolutely it is.
Good evening, I'm Matt Mulcahy. You're watching the CW6 News at 10. Former President Donald Trump's surrender on election fraud charges in Georgia may have happened down south, but millions across the country are paying close attention tonight, including here in central New York. Now, first things first, tonight, the former president arrived in Atlanta. This is his mugshot released in just the last hour now. They also took his fingerprints in this case. Earlier today, he agreed to release conditions, which include a $200,000 bond to guarantee he'll return to court. Tonight, our Laura Lagarde had the chance to speak with fairgoers who shared their thoughts about all these developments.
Despite people taking the time to enjoy the fair today, many tell me that this has been at the front of their mind since finding out that the former president surrendered himself to Georgia authorities this evening. After being charged with 13 crimes on August 14th in Georgia, former President Donald Trump has turned himself in for the 4th time for his role in allegedly trying to reverse his 2020 election loss in Georgia.
He's made some really irresponsible decisions, and I think he should really own up to that.
There were many here in central New York hoping this would happen.
Personally, I think it's really good that he turned himself in. He deserves the charges that he gets.
Well, I think that's what needs to be done.
Joe Brillinger is a former Trump supporter who has decided to turn his support towards other Republican presidential candidates following Trump's multiple indictments.
He had his chance. He blew it.
I'm not as concerned with Donald Trump going to prison as I am with the people who vote for Donald Trump. Despite
Trump turning himself in, he is still the leading GOP candidate for the 2024 race and has many supporters like Thomas Ray.
I think it brings his popularity up even more because he turned himself in. The more charges they bring against him, the better his popularity has become. Biden's biggest rival for him being elected is Trump, in my view.
Trump was booked at the Fulton County Jail, then bonded out within about a half hour. And despite being indicted in 4 separate cases, he has denied criminal charges each time.
You should want somebody who's a good leader, who you should look up to run your country. It shouldn't be somebody who's facing charges like that.
If it's not Trump, then there's a couple other candidates that were in the debate last night that I also believe in too.
Personally, he just won't be getting my vote, is what I have to say about that.
As of now, 8 have surrendered themselves to Fulton County authorities. Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis is expecting an October 23rd trial date. Starting next month, gun owners in New York will have to go through a background check every time they want to buy ammunition, and those background checks aren't free. This evening, I spoke to a gun owner in Central New York to find out how they'll be impacted by the new charges. Syracuse Pistol Club President Bill Bender isn't exactly thrilled about New York State implementing changes to background checks regarding ammunition.
Everybody's concerned. The dealers are concerned from the standpoint of they have received no information from the state police yet.
Starting in September, in addition to a background check to buy firearms, gun owners will also have to have a background check to buy ammunition. And they're on the hook for the cost. That'll be $9 for the firearm background fee and $2.50 for the ammunition fee. The state says the money will go towards the state police to perform those checks.
Partly, but to be honest, most of the legislation that they have enacted and are proposing is aimed at the honest gun owner. It's not aimed at the criminal.
I asked Bender if he thought the new law was due to ghost guns and mass shootings we've seen across the state. Though not giving a definitive answer, he did have a response.
Now the governor and assembly is adding all this extra work to them. How long is it going to take them to be able to perform these background checks?
Another thing Bender expressed concern about, the proposed 3 to 5 cent per bullet tax that's in discussion right now in Albany.
You could get a 50-round box, sometimes as low as $10. Post-COVID, you're lucky to find them, the cheap ones, for $20. If I go in and buy a whole bunch of ammunition at one time because I only want to pay that amount once, is that going to create a red flag someplace?
Or Bender wants to know if it will force people to find a way around the new law.
I'm sure that people that live close to the state border will be going out of state and buying ammunition.
The new regulations begin on September 13th.